this ruling elite believe they have discovered the fountain of youth. But before they can attain it, 80% of us must die. A psychopathic technocracy is establishing world government so there can be no escape from their plan.
The New World Order is the old world order. I mean, it's just the names have changed, the appearances have changed.
Most people have no idea. They're not after money. They have all the money they need. They're after power. That's their aphrodisiac.
I was pulled out of a plane in Munich and they interrogated me for 4 hours. Some shots were fired.
I need you to move off the property.
Their great dream of exterminating 80% of humanity is at hand. Endgame, blueprint for global enslavement. You have been warned.
The Federal Reserve, of course, yesterday announced that they're going to continue, at least for the next 2 years, to have 0% interest rates for the mega banks, not for the general public. That, of course, will accelerate the devaluation of the dollar in the world's eyes. And so we saw a massive plunge in the dollar today before the Federal Reserve went in and propped it up. The federal government is at an all-time historical low with credibility with the American people. Gibson Guitars has now been raided, and we've now learned it wasn't over illegal foreign wood. It was over, quote, labor practices, because under UN Agenda 21 international law, you can't import wood and then work the wood or make any changes to it. Fukushima is still melting down. 5 of the 6 giant reactors have totally exploded and melted down. And in the last few weeks, they admit that 3 days into Fukushima, happened on a Friday, by Monday, they knew that 3 of the reactors, later it was all 5 of the 6, had exploded. I knew on that Monday morning when I watched the reactor explode that it was a complete and total meltdown and a meltdown explosion. And then I interviewed top nuclear physicists who'd been in Japan and who had gotten samples. Of course, Western governments all knew what the mushroom cloud meant, but it showed that fission had taken place, that a Chernobyl-type explosion, much bigger than Chernobyl, had taken place. That was reactor 3 with uranium and super deadly plutonium. And it turned out that they had 500,000 spent fuel rods. Well, it was a total of 614,000. But on that particular reactor, the majority of them, 500,000+, were stored on the roof and in holding tanks and were spewed into the air. Central Texas, the worst fires in recorded history have struck after a 5-year drought has brought us to basically, in many areas, desert-like conditions. A lot of the grass is just dying in Austin and is now sand. FEMA has done what they've done in Arizona and so many other areas. They showed up 2 days into these fires that have destroyed over 150,000 acres just in one area alone. Well over 1,200 homes, deaths. The farmers, the ranchers were getting together, protecting their land. FEMA came in and said, no, you can't build fire berms. Firefighters from all over the state poured in. FEMA showed up, just like in Katrina, and said, no relief effort. We're going to come in the next few days and command things. And all they're doing is blocking the operation. I've now confirmed with multiple firefighters that this has happened, and they're even trying to go on people's property where farmers have successfully built fire walls with dirt and are telling them, nope, you get out of here. Wow. Ron Paul last night, again, won the NBC debate poll, won all the other polls. He won more than 50% of all the votes against all the other candidates. And what did NBC do? NBC didn't report on him in any of their major stories. Neither did MSNBC. They basically ignored the winner and engaged in another scam. They put on television that graph you're seeing. When the poll first started, he had 43% to Mitt Romney's 21%. But you notice all the other graphs are proportional. 1.3 is proportional to 2.7. 2.9 is proportional to 4%. 7.8 is proportional to 16.4. 16.4 is proportional to 21.5 of Mitt Romney. But Ron Paul, with 21 plus points more, looks like he's only barely winning. Then this morning, because of heat, they went ahead and reversed themselves, but still didn't extend it out as far as it should when Ron Paul closed out the poll with 53+%, more than half against all those other candidates. Big Sis set to zap travelers with MRI-style scans. And Homeland Security head came out and told Politico and others, don't worry, you're not going to have to take your shoes off soon. We've got new scanners coming out. And then they detail that the scanners are MRI. And I went, wait a minute, the New York Times reported people dying from MRIs and getting cancer, and if they're not calibrated right, all your hair will fall out because there's so much radiation. So many powerful magnetic waves going into you. And so not only are they going to bake you with the naked body scanners or make you walk by those open x-ray scanning luggage, now they're going to try to make you fry your feet with an MRI. Do you have any idea what MRI type technology does to metal if it's inside you? I mean, this is just unbelievable. But it's even more unbelievable that the TSA workers stand around inside of these facilities, basically being microwaved and baked. They're the ones that are really getting cooked. First off, not just in New York, but all over the country, we are seeing checkpoints being set up. And they tell us, oh, it's a special event. Because 9/11 is coming, we're going to have checkpoints on the highways, and we're going to search you without a warrant. There's no Fourth Amendment because of a special event. Just like under federal grants, they say, oh, we're going to have a no-refusal weekend where we take blood at checkpoints from you, violating your Fourth Amendment under federal grants. Now they're announcing it's just 24/7, 365. So that's how they started. Only sometimes is the Fourth Amendment suspended because the tyrants say so. And only sometimes do we have checkpoints. You see, that's how it's working. And so they are running around saying bag searches, checkpoints in New York amid threat. And they're pulling over taxi drivers, trucks, citizens, searching people's person. Tens of thousands of people a year now in New York. They make you line up and frisk you. Just absolutely incredible. Worse than North Korea, worse than third world countries I've been to in Central America.
Okay, that was Alex with some of the headlines. Let's go now to some of the special reports.
They're allowed to videotape you with their dash cams and other recording devices, yet they expect us not to be allowed to videotape them. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's fair at all. First of all, I believe it's contrary to the First Amendment.
If they're able to record us, then we should be able to record them. It's only fair.
There needs to be checks and balances. I don't trust them. I don't trust them.
It's always us getting in trouble because they have the cameras on us. But when the camera's on them, it's a threat to them because then they know that they could get caught very easily doing something they're not supposed to.
What do you feel about losing a lot of our civil liberties since 9/11?
It sucks. You know, you have, people that can invade your phone calls and text messages and emails, and so you really don't have any privacy, and that really scares me.
So I think 9/11 was sort of the Trojan horse for all that sort of policy to come in.
If you notice, there's free speech zones. We can only free speech in certain areas now. So yeah, it's almost like everything that we once had is slowly shrinking.
Is it worth it to make us more safe, to lose our liberties?
No, certainly not. I mean, 9/11 was a terrible event, but in terms of the things that have happened since then making us more safe, I'd say that's the other side of the coin.
Do you think there needs to be a new investigation into September 11th?
I don't think it would hurt. I don't know how much we would know about it or, again, maybe how unbiased it would be, but I think it always is something that is interesting to look at further.
I think America should demand a new investigation.
Definitely be interesting to see things that I'm sure the government didn't want the public knowing at the time.
The only way to get to the bottom of it is to do more research.
And we've got a couple clips here. The first one is ABC News from a year ago, in case you're a new viewer and doubting us, whitewashing it. U.S. military is concerned. They don't like helping grow opium, protecting it, helping ship it out. And so they've spoken out. So the government's response is just throw it in everybody's face and go, okay, we're helping grow the opium. We're helping ship it out. Let's go ahead and move along. So here's that clip from ABC News.
The Taliban finances much of its operations by selling opium, which is grown from poppies, which are right now being harvested. So here's the question: why are American troops now helping Afghan farmers grow